Mr. Rivers, I'm just going to go ahead and caution you and the rest of the world. Multiple upsets in the top 15 are coming this weekend. TCU goes to Kansas State, 9-point spread on that game. Michigan State goes to Rutgers, a 2-touchdown spread on that game. Keep in mind, Michigan State's failed to cover a number all year, so they've underachieved relative to the number all year. The number is now 14. Clemson welcomes in Georgia Tech. The number there under a touchdown. Undefeated top 10 Clemson, 3-loss Georgia Tech, under a touchdown. Florida has to go to Missouri. We've talked about that game all week. FSU welcomes in Miami. Northwestern is at Michigan, and Navy comes into Notre Dame. That game sandwiched for Notre Dame between Clemson and Southern Cal. At least 3 happen this week.
Even a smart Alabama fan understands what Alabama has ahead of them. When you look at their schedule, just this month alone, after Georgia, you still got to play Arkansas. You still got to play A&M and Tennessee, and you've got a wide variety of styles in those 4 games.
It's going to get very, very ugly for whoever the loser is between Tennessee and Georgia. And it's kind of a shame that it will, especially on Georgia's side. If Georgia were to lose this game, that's kind of inexplicable to me. I talked 2 weeks ago about how an 8-day stretch will define Georgia's season, and we're in the middle of it right now. It started last Saturday. You got blown out by Alabama. If you go up to Tennessee and lose this weekend, over the span of 8 days, you've gone from being a national championship contender with everything in front of you to having all of your major national hopes dashed, and maybe, hopefully, cross your fingers, Florida or somebody trips up and you can back your way into the SEC title game.
That's what it is.
So you are the Randy Edsel
That's the truth of the matter as it is now. Today's reality is not tomorrow's
Sherbert gets compared
reality.
to major rock stars every Wednesday night, and you have likened yourself to Randy Edsel.
I'm a humble guy.
Terp on, baby.
I'm a humble
Your
guy.
Facebook questions when we come back. Who do you think is better in the Big 12 right now, TCU or Baylor? Pause, because I know you and I probably have the same answer here. So on the count of 3, let's just say it out loud. 1, 2, 3, Oklahoma. That's the best team in the Big 12. So neither, Sam, is the answer there. Do you think the rumors about Butch Jones getting into an altercation with a player are true? We haven't talked about this on the program this week because there has been no confirmed report of this, merely allegations from anonymous sources. I will say this. I don't really care if it's true or not. I kind of commented subtly on this last night by saying this is the kind of stuff that happens when you're losing. Because every program has things going on behind the scenes. The ones that win are the ones where people are best served to keep their mouth shut. Daniel in Phoenix City, do you think Gus Malzahn finally sent a message with his releasing of Duke Williams at Auburn?
I think he sent the message, but the message may be, backwards. And what I mean by that is the message may be, hey, we give you multiple opportunities when you haven't been productive on the field nor listened to us. So we'll do it simply because you haven't done what you needed to do 3 or 4 times.
Yeah, Coach Gus Malzahn sent a message, all right. He sent it when he allowed this guy to come back at the beginning of this season.
There you go.
That's where the message was sent. And you notice, Mr. Rivers, you know that suspension in preseason? The reasons of which were never really released, correct?
Yep.
But it warranted a suspension, right?
Word.
So it had to be pretty serious. Now, I have whispered to you off the air what those reasons actually were. So suffice to say, if you know it and I know it, and the cops over in Auburn know it, then the players in the locker room surely know it. And I can promise you a lot of those players looked at that coaching staff when that guy was allowed to come back and say, what are we doing here? Would I, second string receiver? Would I, backup punter, would I be allowed to get away with that?
Right.
No, you wouldn't. That's the message. And it's no coincidence. You've had those things happen 2 years in a row now, and the on-field product has suffered 2 years in a row. Is Nick Saban the best head coach in the nation or just the best recruiter in the nation, asks Jackson in Fort Mitchell.
Well, again, I always throw out the word mutually exclusive, right?
Yes.
Because I think things can happen at the same time. I think you can be the best coach and the best recruiter because you can separate them. But in this case, I'm not going to say he's just a great recruiter. And the reason I think that he is one of the best head coaches, and I say one of the best, like a 1A and 1B, of anybody out there, maybe like an Urban Meyer or somebody of that nature, is simply because when Nick Saban gets a guy on his team, that guy instantly understands what's at stake. And what's at stake is your ability to grow as a man. And he puts you in the mindset of fundamental first, process first, and team first.
You look like a NASCAR fan to me. So let me ask you about this analogy. Would it make any sense to you, Mr. Rivers, if I were to say, You know, Jimmy Johnson's not really a great driver. He just steers his car really well. That's the reason he wins. Jimmy Johnson's not a good driver. It's just his pit crew puts him in position to win. Would that make any sense to you?
No.
No, because you'd say, well, that's all part of racing, right?
Right.
How in the world is this any different? Recruiting, I could argue, is more than 50% of what goes into making a great head coach, because I've never seen one become great without a lot of talent. Tonight.
Maryland beats Ohio State, and I win my confidence picks. I got it on the air.
It's one thing to do it once or twice or 3 times in a row, but the air is getting pretty thin up here. I'm going for 6 weeks in a row at the Wall of Fame. You're over there at the desk of shame spinning your football. I've played mind games with you all week, my friend. Matt, show them the real picks now. The real picks look like this, Mr. Rivers. Georgia Tech, I'll flip over there. I'll ride with you on that one as well. Georgia Tech's going to win that game outright, 6.5-point dog. Northwestern, Michigan. I took Michigan all the way up to an 8, and I took Utah up to an 8 as well, because I think, if I'm not mistaken, we're the same on every pick. So it's going to be a confidence point decision this week, and I feel confident.
Just give me my picks. I still like Georgia. I like Florida on the road. I'm not that confident about Georgia Tech, but I do think after what they've done in the past 3 weeks, they have to get a win, and they still have a difficult offense to defend. Utah and Michigan look good to me at home. But when I talk about Georgia and Tennessee, Josh, I think this Georgia and Tennessee game will come down to coaching.